sure you're. Yeah, this is the one that causes all the trouble during the meetings. Yeah.
Give it to me.
All right. Becky Gerard. Here. Richard Milkey.
Here.
Eugene Pagel.
Here.
Kimberly Hoover.
Here.
And Dale Snowman.
Here. Looking for approval for the meeting minutes from June 12th.
I'll make
I'll
a
make-
motion to approve the meeting minutes of June 12th, 2025.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Approval of the meetings is. Okay, filing a summary of the annual assessment report by assessor.
Hello, good morning. My name is Sam Monroe. I am the assessor for the Village of Caledonia. I work for Tyler Technologies. I'm currently certified as an Assessor 3 with the Department of Revenue in the state of Wisconsin. Looking at this year was a market update for the village. 2024, we did an interim market update. 2023, 2022, 2021 were also interim market updates. We're currently utilizing our Universe Canvas system. And besides myself, I had Brian Tomasak, who is an assessor too, that also helped complete the assessments. Property inspections this year, we had currently 432. Inspections were interior, exterior, and drive-bys. Total valid sales for the community, total sales reviewed was 469. The number determined to be valid sales was 293, and the number of inspections of properties that sold were 62. For building permits, we had a total number of 680. The number of permits that were field inspected were 370, and the number of new construction permits that were field inspected were 370 as well. We did analyze the permits for new construction and adjust values. Agricultural parcels, we did on-site inspections, drive-bys, and online maps to verify agricultural usage. And we did update the agricultural land values according to the Department of Revenue. And we did conduct a ratio study for the previous assessment date and the current assessment date. The ratio study for 2025, number of valid sales for residential was 268. The total assessed value of the sales parcels was $90,857,000. The total sales price of the valid sale parcels was $97,782,700. The aggregate ratio was 92.92. The mean was 93.60. The median was 91.85. The coefficient of dispersion was 9.46. The coefficient of concentration was 82.1. And the price-related differential was 1.01. For 2024 residential ratio study, there was 249 valid sales. The total assessed value of the valid sale parcels was $84,700,800. And the total sales price of the valid sale parcels was $90,818,091. The aggregate ratio was 93.26. The mean was 94.33. The median was 94.05. The coefficient of dispersion was 9.42. The coefficient of concentration was 81.9. And the price-related differential was 1.01. For the 2025 commercial ratio study, there were 8 valid sales. The assessed value of the valid sales parcels were $5,212,200, and the total sales price for the valid sale parcels was $6,599,350. The aggregate ratio was 78.98. The mean was 93.1. The median was 92.79. The coefficient of dispersion was 28.81, and the coefficient of concentration was 37.5. with a price-related differential of 1.18. For the 2024 commercial ratio study, there were 11 valid sales. The total assessed value of the valid sales were $9,103,800. The total sales price of the valid sales parcels was $10,538,000. The aggregate ratio was 86.39. The mean was 88.61. The median was 96.0. The coefficient of dispersion was 13.60, and the coefficient of concentration was 45.50, with a price-related differential of 1.03. And that concludes the assessor's report for 2025.
Thank you. Now, the receipt of assessment roll by the clerk.
I think we need a motion to
Oh.
accept their
Oh.
report.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to accept the assessor's report.
I'll do a motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. We move to receipt of the assessment roll by the clerk from the assessor. Thank you.
This one? Okay, that needs to come way, way down. Okay.
Okay, so we've accepted the assessment roll by the clerk. Okay, review the assessment roll and perform statutory duties, examine the roll, correct descriptions. We usually try to do that throughout the meeting or towards the end if we're busy for a while. So at any time, though, if any of you want to pick one of the books and start looking, I mean, what we're looking for are errors. What's generally been done in this meeting is we tend to look into your neighborhood, for your property, for your neighbor's property, just to do a little bit of, here and there, looking for any problems, okay? Duplicates, yeah. Okay, so we'll leave that, if that is not completed at this point, so we'll move on. If we find any errors, then we'll talk about that. Verify with the assessor that open book changes are included in the assessment roll.
Open book changes are included in the current assessment roll.
Okay. Consideration of waivers of the required 48-hour notice of intent. Is that something?
I have not received, as of right now, any waivers, but during the 2 hours that we are in session, anyone can still come in and submit a waiver. So for right now, there's none, but we'll leave that open until the end.
Okay, so at the end of our meeting, then I guess we'll just verify that everybody has had the opportunity to submit a waiver, and if we don't receive any, we don't. Review notice of intent to file objection. I guess that's the same.
Well, if you want to go through the other requests, there's a waiver.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sure.
I
Request,
can just let you know that there are no other waivers that have been submitted, and there have been no requests to testify by telephone, and there are no subpoena requests.
so if any of that happens, we will act on that. Review notices of intent to file objection.
So we did receive 2 notices of intent. They have been scheduled for today. The first hearing begins at 10 a.m. You have that paperwork in front of you already. That's case number 1 for Edward Jacobs. And then the second one will be for Daniel Radke. He's not submitted his objection yet. He will bring it when he comes to his appointment, which is at 10:30.
Okay. Now we will proceed to hear objections. So we have 1.
Yep, so they don't, their appointment's at 10 o'clock, so until then, we can just review the assessment rolls and,
Okay.
so we'll be on break until the hearing starts.
Okay, so this
So
is
you
for
can
Edward
pause the recording.
Edward Jacobs that we're looking for.
That would be the next one, yeah.
Okay, and no one is here representing this?
Not yet, he'll
this
be here at
objection?
10.
Yeah, okay, all right. Oh, you'll recognize him when he's here, okay.
You may, he was here last
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. All right, so now we have the opportunity to look at the books, and that's about it right now. Okay, so at this point, I just want to ask the board, that, are we satisfied that we've reviewed the assessment role and performed the necessary duties to look for errors, and we're okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So there were no errors found by the members? Okay. So therefore, so we'll proceed to hear objections that have been brought before the board. Apparently, our first case, right, is with Edward Jacobs. Is he here?
Yes.
And I'll introduce the case if you want to just kind of review the procedures. Here,
Yeah, there.
you've got one too.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, that's this one.
What I have there? What did you do? Give me some, or you took
That's
mine?
something else.
Okay, I'd like to verify that the digital recorder is on. Ask the clerk to introduce the case for hearing and to administer oaths with all witnesses, including the assessor.
Okay, so case number 1 is Edward Jacobs at 6825 Brook Road. Tax key number is 104042226069000. This property has been classified for assessment purposes as residential. The 2025 value in the assessment roll is $102,900 for land, $648,900 for improvements, for a total assessment of $751,900. If you want to step up, and then I can swear you in.
Yes.
And if you want to go ahead and stand up, I'll swear you in at the same time. Do you have any other witnesses with you that will provide testimony?
No, just myself.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear, affirm, or attest that the testimony which you shall give in the matter now on hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
And I've already stated the name and address for the record.
Okay, so you say I should just kind of summarize this. Okay. So the hearing will proceed now, where the person filing the objection is going to testify and present the evidence first. The assessor may then ask the objector questions. The Board of Review may ask also some questions. After the objector has testified and other witnesses present in support of the objector will testify. Apparently we have no witnesses, but we will ask that question, sorry. Following all witnesses of the objector, the assessor shall present his case in support of the assessment. The assessor shall be subject to any questions of the objector first, then the assessor shall be subject to questions of the board. The objector may present any evidence which again is subject to questions of the assessor or board or review members. The assessor may provide any other evidence, again, subject to the questions of the objector and the board of review members. After all evidence has been submitted under oath, the objector may first make a brief summary in his case to the board of review. The assessor may follow with a brief summary. After each summary, the taking of testimony will be closed. The board of review will deliberate on the testimony immediately following the testimony today. Okay. Now, this is a statement that we're required to provide to you.
Okay.
The Board of Review wants you to understand that under state law, the Board of Review is required to uphold the assessor's valuation of your property as being correct, unless you, by your testimony, can show the assessor's valuation to be incorrect. In other words, the burden of proof is upon you as a taxpayer. You understand?
Yes.
Now we move on. Do this.
Okay, and then he can.
Okay, you can present your evidence to show the,
Okay. Yes. First of all, I'd like to state that I did buy the home 7 years ago for $447,000. And since then, and that would be 7 years, the assessment value has risen by over 60% in 7 years on the home. The homes that are listed as comparables on the information I was given that the tax was assessed on, the 6825 property of mine is 40 years old. 3 of those 5 are less than 20 years old that are as comparables. The homes are much newer homes used as comps. I don't feel you should be using newer homes as comparables. The other thing on here, I went through homes for sale in the general Racine area, okay? The homes listed maybe at $500,000 or more for sale, all that I could find, raised in value on a square foot basis, $155 up to a high of $202 per square foot. That's everything I could find. My home is, the new assessment is $237 per square foot. And that's not including the pool. That's if I take the pool and the shed out that the other homes didn't have. If I put those values in there, it becomes over $250 some per square foot. So, but the other homes did not have pools, so I took the value that was listed there on that. The other part of the question I have is on the assessment calculations. It runs through a whole value of the home, and that's on the backside that has the diagram of the outlay of my house, the blueprint. There's a factor in there that says it takes the value and then raises everything by 145%. Trying to understand why it would take my value up 145%, and then later it takes it down by 95%, okay, for age of the home. I fully don't understand why it raises my value up by that 145%. In addition, on the information for the taxes, it says the assessed value is $751,800, but it said the market value of my house is $712. Why would it be, even if you've determined that the house has got a market of $712, why it would even be assessed for more than a market value? So those are the main things that I'd like to do. The other option that I did talk to the person the other day, and for 3 years in a row, the picture that is on this is not the picture of my house. And I've asked for 3 years now for somebody to update that, and it's not been updated. So and then as part of this, I guess if need be, I'd like someone to come out and assess my house. You can come physically look at it and compare it to other homes. I've offered that for 3 years. Nobody's ever made that option to come out. But so, you know, here I am with another 10%. I've got a neighbor's house that went down $150,000 from his last year's assessment. I can see his house from mine. Why some houses are going down, why mine again is going up another 10%, which it has every single year. So that's, I'd like, you know, to be looked at.
Mr. Jacobs, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm the village attorney. You're reviewing an exhibit. You've got documentation in front of you. Does the board have copies of what you've been reviewing?
Everything that I'm reviewing was provided in the documents that I gave yesterday. All the houses that were, information on the houses that are for sale in the area, that was all provided in a sheet that I dropped 6 copies off.
You have that? Okay, because I don't.
That are homes for sale in the Racine area. I just listed, and also some of these comps were, I could say the comps that are listed on here are newer homes, and some of them were back in even 2 years ago.
It looked like he was referring to something else besides this sheet of paper.
Well, the other information is all on, that I just discussed, is all in that information.
Okay, I just want to make sure our record is complete. Thanks. We're good.
Okay. Can I ask, does somebody know why this 145% is added after my house has gone through the calculations? Why does it say my home's been 145% more?
You'll have an opportunity to ask the assessor questions after he testifies.
Okay.
So right now you're testifying, and then the assessor can ask you questions and the board can ask you questions.
Got it.
So you've concluded your opening statement?
Yes.
Yeah, you'll have opportunities to join in.
Thank you.
So now I think we go to the assessor.
Thank you. I was reviewing the information that you'd provided here. I just wanted to verify that these are current listings. These properties have not sold.
Yes, I went on the internet and these are listings that the realtors have listed. Some of them range from, actually from 90 days up to, I don't know, 20 days. So some of them, they've been on the market for a while.
Okay, all right. And what are your criteria for claiming that these are comparable homes to yours? They are similar.
I listed at the listings at the number of square feet that they listed and pricing. That's, that's just a list of everything that's for sale.
Okay, so,
Almost everything that I could find that was for sale in the area. Just the square feet that they listed in the price.
and are these through the entire village or just within a certain neighborhood?
These are most of Caledonia Village, and then a couple of them might have fallen into, one or two into Mount Pleasant, which to me is the same general market. If you're,
Okay,
you
no,
know,
I'm-
if somebody's gonna move, they're gonna move in.
I understand. And from looking over your information, it looks like you're taking the, because what I'm noticing is, what I'm looking at is your property is a ranch-style home, correct?
Yes, it is.
So there is one ranch listed here that is 6001 or 6015 Indigo Drive. The other properties seem to be multi-story colonials. So you're taking the total square feet of living area and dividing that by the sales price to arrive at the price per square foot that you're using?
That is correct.
Okay. And then I also see that at the very top, you have the assessed value and you're showing was there an adjustment for the swimming pool or you were adding value, I believe on the objection form? You had it was 3,052 square feet times $202 per square feet plus the 27,650. Is the 27,650 the assessed value for the swimming pool
The pool and a shed.
and the shed?
The other question I have on the shed is my understanding, the shed's not a permanent fixture. That can be picked up and moved. I was told that's not taxable, but it has been.
It doesn't have to be on a permanent foundation, but
No,
it is.
they lifted it up, put it in the yard, and it can be lifted up and moved again.
No, I understand. I'm just saying that it
I'm
does
just
not have
asking
to-
if that should be taxable,
It is taxable.
even
It's-
if it can be moved.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's correct. Outside of that, are you familiar with these properties, or have you simply just looked at the information that was online, the interior photos and things of that nature?
Right. The one on Indigo I am familiar with because I used to live right by that house. Before I moved, I was in that neighborhood.
Okay,
I'm familiar with that one. That's a newer home, much newer home.
okay. And then at any point, this is my last question. Did you look at the comparable sales that were provided by the assessor's office for the property, and did you look at any other comparable sales that would have fallen within the time range of 2023 through the end of 2024, which are the sales that were used?
Yeah, as far as the comparable sales, no, I didn't know where to go to
Okay.
find the comparable sales, on a broad basis. The ones that are there, yeah, are easy enough to find because you can just Google the address, the ones that are shown. Like I said, they're much newer homes.
Okay. And are these are newer homes as well, the listings that you have, or are they more similar to the age
Most of
your
them,
homes?
almost all of them were much newer.
Okay,
Yes,
all right,
which would make their value higher because they're, not 40 years old.
okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay, then the question though, would you can answer what's 145%?
So I'll present my information to the board.
Oh,
and then
you'll
once I
present,
do my
okay.
testimony, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions like I did, and I can answer your question at that
All
point in
right,
time.
thank
So
you.
at this time, then we'll have the assessor give his case for the value presented.
That, if the board has any questions of the taxpayer, you can ask them at this time before you switch over to the assessor's testimony.
I got a question. On here, you have these properties listed and you have the days that they're on the market. Are those currently on the market or they were on the market at one
No,
time?
they are currently on the market as of 2 days ago when
Because I'm shocked at the amount of days with real estate, the way it's selling nowadays, the amount of days that they're sitting on the market.
that would indicate to me that they're overpriced. That's my indication, that they should even be lower priced.
Possibly.
If
But
they're
if somebody
that-
wants to
yes.
buy it, they would bid on it, and the seller's option to sell it at that price. Okay,
But they are currently listed.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. The assessor can present his reason for the value.
Thank you.
So I have just handed out two pieces of paper. I have the property record card, the front and back containing the assessment information for the subject property. The second page is also the comparable sales analysis that was used through portion of the valuation of the property. The subject property is 6825 Brook Road. This property is listed currently as a one-story ranch property built in 1986. We have kitchen and bath ratings of average. It is centrally heated and air conditioned. It is showing that it has one wood burning fireplace. It has a grade of A minus and is a CDU rating of average with a market adjustment of 95%. We are showing that the home contains 3,052 square feet, and there is approximately 200 square feet of average condition rec room in the lower level, and the basement area is 3,052 square feet. It has a total of 8 rooms. It has 4 bedrooms, 2 full baths, 2 half baths, and 3 additional fixtures. Moving to the comparable sales, comparable number 1 is 6520 Hoods Creek. This is a one-story ranch home built in 1984 with 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, 1 half bath. It's centrally heated and air conditioned. It contains 800 square feet of rec room. It is 3,424 square feet. It is a B-grade home in good condition with a 704 square foot attached garage and a market adjustment of 90%. That property sold for $565,000 in August of 2023, approximately $215 per square foot, with an adjusted sales price of $700,800, which is approximately $205 per square foot. Comparable number 2 is 6020 Stephanie Way. This is a ranch home built in 2004. 3 bedroom, 3 full baths, 1 half bath, centrally heated and air conditioned. It has a finished basement living area of 1,076 square feet. It has 1 metal fireplace. The total living area is 4,271 square feet, and it has a basement of 3,195 square feet. It is an A-grade home in very good condition. It has an 810 square foot attached garage, no market adjustment, and that property sold for $925,000 in September of 2023, approximately $289.51 per square foot, with an adjusted sales price of $719,900, approximately $169 per square foot adjusted sales price. Comparable number 3 is 6340 Alex Turn. This is a ranch home built in 2003 with 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, no half bath, centrally heated and air conditioned. Has a wood burning fireplace. The total living area is 2,516 square feet. The basement area is 2,589 square feet with a B plus grade, good condition, an attached garage of 1,252 square feet, and a market adjustment of 90%. That property sold for $605,000 in May of 2023 at approximately $240 per square foot, with an adjusted sales price of $717,800, or approximately $285 per square foot. Comparable number 4 is 4609 Bluffside Drive. This is a 1-story ranch home built in 1976 with 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, 1 half bath, centrally heated and air conditioned. It has 950 square feet of rec room area, total living area of 2,456 square feet, and a basement of 1,280 square feet. It is a B-minus grade in very good condition. It has a 528 square foot attached garage, no market adjustment, and the property sold for $635,000 in September of 2024, approximately $258 per square foot, with an adjusted sales price of $729,100, which is an adjusted sales price average of $297 per square foot. I will note on the property record card, the front, we are valuing this property through the cost approach, and my notes indicate that at some point in the previously through the open book process, through the discussions, the cost approach is what was being used to value the property, as opposed to comparable sales at that point in time. The difference between the values, the market value, which the owner had discussed, the market value is listed as $712,300, which would be based on the sales information that I provided. Again, through previous open book discussions, we had decided to use the cost approach. The cost approach is the first step of market modeling. So we would take a look at bringing our cost approach in line with sales that occurred throughout the village, and then we would use that information to make adjustments to approach the market value or the market approach for the subject property. And that completes the assessor's exhibits.
You have any questions for the?
Yes, I still have a question on I guess you're calling it the grade here, that the house is graded, A, B, et cetera, which is, I think, driving a lot of the factor. What makes my house 145% and a house over here at 120%?
So the 145% grade factor that you're referring to is for the A-minus grade. The grade is for the quality of the construction and the workmanship of the home. So an average home of average quality and average construction would be a C grade, which would be at 100%. So the extra 45% that's being added is through the grade for the quality and the design of the home itself.
Okay, then what is making my home at 6825 an A-minus grade versus one over here that's a C grade or a B grade?
So that's going to be the quality of the finishes. You may have, as opposed to carpet and linoleum, you may have tile or granite countertops. There's a lot that goes into consideration for the grade. The design, the style, whether there's tray ceilings, triple crown molding, everything that goes into the home, the quality of the materials and the design and the finish.
Okay, I guess I'd like to know what in here makes my home with those. I don't have the crown ceiling. I don't have, all that stuff that you named in the home.
So the grade, normally whenever we pick up new construction or we do an interior inspection, the grade is assigned just based on the information that I have. So if I had a photo of the interior, I could walk through that a little bit more. There's more that goes into it, but it's basically the A grade is denoting that there's higher design and there's higher quality and finish in the home itself, as opposed to an average home, which would be a C.
I'm not sure that all these things in the grade is there in this house that would make it that would be one of my concerns. I look at other homes. Actually, my daughter just built a home now. I'd call hers an A because her home is nowhere near mine. Okay, her home is actually smaller than mine, but it's much nicer. She has the great stuff in there. So what do I do to have? Can I pictures? Can you go to the pictures that were online when the house was sold? What do I need to do to get? Because this house is not an A grade house. I can tell you that.
Well, so what we can do, for today, there's nothing that I can make any adjustments on this. I'm here to defend the current assessment. But moving forward for the 2026 assessment, we can schedule an interior walkthrough with you. So that will not be a problem. We can take a look at the grade once we've been inside the home recently.
Okay, because the house is 40 years old. I just really don't understand how that could be worth 145% more than a home.
No, I'm just basically
Sure.
telling you what the 1.45 factor that's being applied. It is through the grade, and the grade is based on the quality of the finish and the design of the home itself. So that would have to be something that would be looked at before we would make any adjustments to the grade itself.
Okay, then I want to go back then also to the 712,000 sales price as to why we would use a cost to build value on the home versus what it would sell for.
The notes that I have show that the property was changed through a previous open book from the market to the cost. That is
Is
the information that I
everybody's in
have.
the whole community done that way?
Not everyone, the vast majority of the community would be
Then I
using the
guess
market approach.
that would be a strong objection if mine's value different than other people's. Like I say, I've seen a 60% increase in the value of this home in 6 years, actually 6 years. I've been here 7, but it was reassessed. You know, you have the original sales price on the house, and every year, and I don't see that the Caledonia has raised the prices 60% on assessments in 6 years. I know, when I talked to someone a couple of years ago, the average cost went up 3%, mine went up 10. I guess I'm just really puzzled. And then why my home is not even at sales price or value, it's at a assessment, and others are not.
Why it's not currently assessed
Why,
or what you
if mine
purchased
is
it for previously?
mine's 749, and you said the cost approach,
The cost approach is what is
and
what. it's
and
being used
everybody's
for.
just not on that cost approach.
The cost approach can be used if the condition of the home is, if there's severe condition issues that the home is in very bad shape, we won't use the market approach because there's excessive adjustments that would take place, so the cost is more reliable. Also, if it's a more unique home, if you have like a geodesic dome, a very unique style that we don't have comparables for, we can use the cost approach through that. We can use the cost approach on any property, but the majority of the properties within the village of Caledonia are using the market approach.
Why would the market approach be different than a cost on the house? I'm trying to understand if that's the value of the house, you know, whether it's got all these things or not, is what the house would sell for, isn't it? Isn't
That is our estimate of what the house would sell for. But the use of the cost approach here, I just have a note that shows that it was changed at some point previously through the open book discussions. Have you been through the open book process previously?
Yes, we've had this discussion.
Okay, so at some point, the previous assessor had made a decision to change it to the cost approach, whether the cost approach was lower than the market value at that point in time. But we are currently using the cost approach, and that is calibrated on the sales that have occurred. That is the first step of our market modeling process.
Still then, why isn't everybody on that approach? I'm still confused. If the house is worth 712, why would I be assessed for more?
Previously, the assessor made a determination through the open book that the cost approach was more appropriate, and we do not change it back and forth between market and cost on an annual basis. So that once we set it to the cost approach, it just went through the normal adjustment process for this year's market modeling.
What would it take to get it back to the other approach? Because that's lower value.
It's a lower value, but it's your job to provide sales, comparable sales, and show what you believe the property is actually worth.
Well, I've provided, comps on what other homes are selling for in there, and they're selling for a lot less.
You've provided listings, current listings.
Current
Yes,
listings.
but we're using actual sales through the market the market approach. We have to use sales that occurred of similar properties, and
But
the
those
time
sales-
frame that we analyzed were 2023 through 2024
But
sales.
those sales are not comparable aged homes. Those are much newer homes.
The age is taken care of through the adjustment process. Whenever I was reading out what the home sold for and the adjusted sales price as well, so it's sold for a certain dollar amount and then it's adjusted. The market modeling that we use, the comparable sales are adjusted. So we're not taking that this home sold for X dollars per square feet and we're using an average. We are simply making the adjustments for grade, size, condition, and any other amenities that are different between the comparable properties and the subject property.
Okay, could you go through one of those and explain to me what adjustments were done on one of these, what they would have been and what they would be because they're newer?
So the comparable number one, I'll just go through that. This one was
That's
one that
not,
was.
I don't think that one's newer. Let's do the Alex Turner, the Bluff side. Those are probably newer homes.
So I'll go with the newest home, which is 2004 for comparable number two. That property was adjusted down a total adjustment of minus $205,100. And that's taking into consideration the size difference. It's a larger home at 4,271 square feet versus your 3,052 square feet. And it's also an A grade versus your A minus. So that's also an adjustment on the grade. And there's also an adjustment for the very good condition on the comparable property versus your average. And it's also showing there's a difference in your market adjustment is 95, its market adjustment is 0. So the total adjusted sales price is a downward adjustment of $205,100, and the age is taken into consideration through that overall adjustment. So the sales price of $925,000 was adjusted down to $719,900 once it was made comparable to your home in age, size, and amenities.
So that you're saying that that home is not an A-grade home, they're taking it up? It's not,
It's adjusting down on the grade, so the A is superior to A minus, and there's part of the adjusted value is dropping it from the A grade to the A minus to make it similar to your home.
okay, but I would, not seeing that home, but I would guess that is a much nicer home than mine, okay? If it's an A and mine's only an A minus, that's not much difference for a house that's 20 years newer.
Well, and the grade can be taken a look at through an interior inspection, which I'm happy to schedule with you before the end of the year and have someone come out to do a walkthrough of the home to verify the information that we have. But based on the assessment information that we have, that is the comparison, is that the comparable property is an A grade and yours is an A minus.
I'm just still really confused on this whole thing as to why homes aren't selling, what you're saying, why you're assessing at market value rather than, or assessing for a value higher than I could sell it. Actually, anybody here want to buy my house for $650? I'd be happy to sell it for $650 and he's assessing it for $750.
We've
Anybody here ready to buy a
We've been
home?
made that offer many times.
You can make $100,000.
And I'm sorry, we can't, that's not gonna
Okay,
help
that's
you.
what I'm saying.
You have to provide us evidence that there's been a mistake, that the assessor's numbers are wrong. And that's a heavy burden, I know it. for you.
It's heavy because he's using, it's all done on a computer generated thing. It's all, nobody's
Oh, but
looked
it's
at the
got,
houses.
it's got the support of people, him and the people that work on this. It's not just the machine that does the job. They're
They're
responsible.
working, but yeah, he's just telling me this computer's putting all these numbers in.
Excuse me, just to get us back on track, right now, we're having questions of the assessor in his testimony. This is not your chance to testify again to the board. So if you have any more questions, you can ask them of the assessor. Then the board of review can ask questions of the assessor. Then you'll have an opportunity to make further statements later on. So you're kind of jumping the gun.
Okay, so
All right.
right now.
Right now, we're
they
still
can
at the
ask him
assessor's
questions?
testimony, right, and you've been asking a lot of good questions. So if you have more questions, you can continue. Otherwise, it'll be up to the board to ask their questions.
Okay, then let's move on and let the board ask their questions.
Okay, at this time, do any board members have questions for the assessor? Okay. So, would you like to summarize your statements, your testimony?
Well, I think I could summarize it, but I've had the discussion and asked the questions. I guess the grade is the main thing here, that I'm graded an A minus. That's like, now that I see that he's calling it an A minus house, when I don't think it's at that high a level of house that would be an A minus. And that's, I think, is what's causing the biggest issue here. When you're multiplying an average house, and mine would be worth 45% more than an average house. So that would be my summary, why I'm 45% more than another house. That appears to be what's causing the factor to go up so much. I think that adds $250,000 to the value of my home.
But you know that you had the opportunity to go to open book and discuss this with.
Okay, let me back up to that. I found out I was on vacation for 3 weeks. Okay, when I came back on, I think it was the 12th of September, a Friday, talking to one of my neighbors over the weekend, said, "Hey, there's an assessment going on." I went through all my mail for 3 weeks. I had nothing. I came in here immediately on Monday morning. They said, "Oh, open book closed on Friday," and there was nothing to do there. I got no notice in the mail. I got nothing. Even though I was gone, there was still nothing in my mail. And I talked to the young lady that was here that works for whatever company's doing the assessments. She said, "Oh, that closed Friday, nothing
Would you like to make any comment?
As far as I know, all of the assessment letters were mailed out to the addresses that we had on file. But yeah, I mean, yeah, open book closed on Friday, so we're not
I
able
came in
to,
early Monday, I was here Monday morning at like 8 o'clock.
right? By law, after open book closes, the assessment office is no longer allowed to make changes, so they weren't able to discuss it at that time.
I don't even know what open book was, but I just noticed, like I say, I don't know that 3 weeks even would have been was that enough notice? I think they were mailed out after that date.
Yeah, there are rules as to when notice must be given, so those notices are sent out. We also did publish on our website and Facebook, letting people know when open book started. It was published in the newspaper 30 days prior to the start for state law during a reevaluation year. So we did provide all of the proper notices. I know that a lot of people don't see those notifications in the paper, or
Well,
Facebook, or
I was
whatever,
in
but
Europe, so I saw nothing
the
for
village
3
did
weeks.
do its due diligence in providing adequate notification to the best of my knowledge.
And what does open book even mean? I don't even know what that meant.
Do you want to?
I'll answer that. The open book is an informal hearing. It's an appointment that you schedule to discuss the assessment with either the assessor or the assessor's staff. You go through and verify the information. You can provide any information that you have for the value of your property and what you think it should be, and then we can also verify the data. The open book process, there's more leeway for adjustments of the assessment before the Board of Review. Once we're at the Board of Review, I'm here to defend the assessed value that I have. Regardless of whether there is a mistake or not, I have to use the information that I have, but through the open book process, it's an opportunity for every homeowner to discuss the value and provide information on condition or quality or whatever you can provide to persuade us if there is an adjustment that needs to be made at that point in time. So it's a similar process to the Board of Review. It's not quite as formal.
Okay, so I missed that opportunity because I didn't get, one was gone and also did not get notice.
Well, what is your current mailing address?
6825 Brook Road, Franksville.
So the notices of assessment were sent out in September 2nd of this year, and there should have been one that would have received it, that you would have received at 6825, which is what we have as your mailing address. Now,
Okay, that's-
once it was placed in the mail, there's nothing that I can do about that, but with the market update or a revaluation, we send notice to all property owners.
Okay, so I missed any opportunity to do anything, really. This is doing nothing. Today, you're not able to do anything.
Today, I'm here to defend the assessment that I have based on the information that I have to provide. I can't negotiate a new value. I cannot suggest any changes. I just have to support the information and the assessment as it is.
So you can't make changes, is what you're telling me.
I cannot at this point, no.
So it was kind of, I hate to say that, but kind of worthless that I came in today.
No,
No,
if you
you-
brought evidence to us that shows that the assessment is wrong, we would make the change.
Are you telling me now that I didn't bring evidence?
I'm not telling you that.
Oh, okay,
So that would be
because
then-
you'll discuss this later.
The next step is for you to deliberate. If you want me to repeat any of the things from the notes during the findings of fact, or your reference to help you with your deliberations.
So have you completed your summary?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Assessor, do you have a summary?
I would suggest that using in summary, I would say that based on the information provided that we've provided 4 comparable sales. The average price per square foot for the adjusted sales price of those 4 comparables is approximately $239 per square foot. Despite using the cost approach, the subject property is assessed at $246 per square foot. We provided the market sales that have occurred, valid open market sales that have occurred between beginning of 2023 and the end of 2024, which was the time frame that was analyzed for the market update. We feel that the comparables provided, the market information provided supports the valuation currently, and we feel it's a fair and equitable assessment.
Okay, so if there are no more evidence to be presented by you or the assessor, and I'm going to close this meeting, and then there'll be no more evidence accepted. So you understand? Okay. So Board of Review will now be closed, and no more testimony will be taken, and we're going to deliberate immediately, right? Yeah.
like, I can review some of the suggested criteria or
Oh, I should read
areas
this
for the
part.
determination. I have in the findings of fact. You want me to go over these topics for you to deliberate on? Okay. So you can consider that there was a recent sale of the subject property. It does not define recent, so I guess you can decide that for yourself. That was 7 years ago. Was that sale an arm's length transaction? Was the sale representative of the value as of January? Those are things you can consider for that. What, if any, adjustments based on the evidence presented should be made for such considerations, such as time between the date of sale and the January 1st assessment date, non-market class value in the selling price, or other physical changes that occurred to the property between the sale date and the January 1st assessment date. Anyone want to comment on that section as far as how they feel about the recent, whether it's a recent sale or the determination?
I just wanted to say something, just if your issue is with the grade of your house,
But we
then,
can't take any more evidence.
What, I think we can still ask
well,
questions.
I'm just saying what I think you should do. If you're, like I said, if the A- is something that you feel like is not applicable to your house, I would suggest that, that you do make an appointment with the assessor to have them to come and look inside your property and around your property. That would be my suggestion to you.
Okay, yes, I can do that. At the same time, they come out to take a picture of my house and get the correct picture in the file. It's just telling me if there's incorrect picture in the file, there could be an incorrect grade.
Mhm.
Somebody's got something wrong.
Deliberations, I would just suggest that you touch base on what was presented by the taxpayer. He presented what he felt were comparables based on listings, and so maybe have a discussion as to whether those carry weight, yes or no, and then you can also talk about the comparables that were presented by the assessor. You can talk about other testimony that was presented related to the value being set by the cost approach versus the market approach and whether that has bearing on the issue. I just think you need to have a discussion among the board to reach your decision and not have any direct conversations with the assessor or the taxpayer at this point. All right? Thanks.
Suggestion, thank you.
Anybody want to give us something here? I mean, I'll say that I think the difficulty here is the objector is stating that he thinks that the property is not the quality of the assessment, but the assessor has information that indicates what he has given us on the status of the condition and the grade, and I don't think any evidence has been given that changes my mind on that. I don't know.
I agree.
So without that evidence, I'm not sure what to think about the time difference between when his house was built and some of the comparables. I think I've typically have seen very good adjustments made by the assessor in the years I've been doing this to account for that. And have we heard anybody hear something that makes them think that there's something wrong with the way the assessor has done this? Okay. I've got nothing else. Anybody want to give
No,
us-
I just agree with what you're saying, and I think that there wasn't enough evidence presented to make the assessors, what they assessed his property at, to be any different.
But I do strongly, I always, I always hope that people will go to that open book, because that does often give people a chance, and it's unfortunate in this situation that the objector didn't get a, wasn't real aware of what that was available to him, and I'm hoping that by this time next year that that can all be, it can be corrected if there is some evidence that he hasn't shown us, but will be available when the assessor goes to visit the site. Look at and assess the property properly from the inside. So I think we all agree that we've completed our discussion of this. So,
Willing to make a motion?
so we need a motion that will either say that the assessor's valuation is correct, or that,
This would be what to
read that whole,
line, that would be
exercising its judgment and discretion pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 70.479A, the Board of Review
Does that get cut off? I'm sorry. And then you would,
hereby determines.
yes, so you would choose your criteria either from supporting the assessor or the objector.
Right. So, does someone want to make a motion to this effect?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
What's your motion? Are you,
To accept
that the assessor's
assessor's
valuation is
or the-
correct?
My motion is to accept the assessor's evaluation.
I second that.
Okay, is there any discussion on that? I'll just say that the assessor has presented evidence as we expect them to do. That the difference in the cost and market value, I think, has been explained to us. And unfortunately, we have not heard evidence that would say that the assessment is correct without a visit to the property. So,
I would suggest a roll call.
yeah, we have to do a roll call, I think, right? So, you, the clerk, or whoever, read the
One of the
roll.
clerks. Sure. All right. Where is it? Here, okay. Becky Gerard,
Yes.
Richard Milky,
Yes?
Eugene Pagel,
Yes.
Kimberly Hoover. Yes. And Dale Spillman.
Yes.
So the motion has passed, and we will, in this case, accept the assessor's valuation and hope that you can get some satisfaction next year.
Okay, quick question, understand we're done. The assessment has changed every year for like 3 years. Prior to that, I've been in Caledonia for 40 years or more. And I was only seeing assessment changes every 5 or 8 or 10 years. Why now are we doing this every single year?
The village is now doing annual market updates on a yearly basis.
So this will always happen every single year?
Depending on.
So I'll have the opportunity then to schedule and have some,
You have the opportunity to come to open book and board of review any year, regardless of whether you receive a notice or your value changes. But the values are changing annually because we're trending to markets annually as opposed to waiting 5 or 6 years between revaluations.
okay, so the open book, I'll get a notice on open book, or is there dates that I need?
If the property value changes, you'll receive a notice. If your value changes, you will receive a notice. But you should receive a notice because everyone's property value should change on the annual basis. If it was a maintenance year and you had new construction, only the properties that change in value require a notice. But since we're trending annually, you should receive a notice next year that will have the open book information as well as the board of review.
For example, I know some other neighbors did not receive notices. So I just want to make sure that I can schedule the appointment, come in next year, no matter what, if I can't change
It
it.
is publicized by the village clerk on their website.
On the
and
website.
their
Is-
postings.
Is it always at roughly the same date, so I can put it on my calendar?
change annually. It
So I-
later this year than what it normally.
But it's roughly the same time of year.
But I just at some point want to make sure that I know when that open book is. I want to put it on my calendar now.
Yep.
So that because even if mine isn't changing, I still have the opportunity
Yes,
to request
you can come to look.
open book, whether it's changed or not.
Yes.
Okay.
You can also stop down here and ask, you know, like at any time if
Right,
it's
but I just want to
available.
make sure sometime.
Yeah.
Offer's still open. Anybody want to buy my house for $650?
Usually in the
Late summer. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
And Mr.
Thank you for your
I was
time.
going to point out, well, if you would step back here and see if Rebecca has a telephone number, we'll give you a phone call to schedule an appointment to come out and do a walkthrough and take a new photo. So
Okay.
just provide her with the information. We'll give you a call here in the next couple of weeks and come out and take
We
a
can do that
walkthrough.
ahead of time.
Whatever that's good for you. We prefer it be before the first of the year. The January 1 is our assessment date. So between here and the end of December, if we have an opportunity to meet with you, come and do a walkthrough, we'll schedule that with you.
Okay, that way, if the rate does change, it'll actually automatically be in, then
If we find significant
If it
information to
changes.
make that change, it would change going forward. It wouldn't affect this year.
Right,
It
but
would
it
change
would
going
change forward,
forward.
then
And
next year.
and you'd receive a notice with that new value. So
All right, thank
just
you.
provide your phone number there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so at this time, anybody need a break? You know, all good?
Yeah, I want to go to the restroom.
Okay, so we'll take a brief break for a restroom break. Case for us.
So this is case number 2, Daniel Radke. Address is 5704 Sandell Way. Tax key number is 104-04-23-20-366-000. This property has been classified for assessment purposes as residential. The 2025 value in the assessment roll is $45,200 for land, $330,200 in improvements, for a total assessment of $375,400. If you'd like to step up to the podium, I will swear you in to give testimony. I will, assessor can assume he is still sworn in from the prior case, or do you want to stand up again? Okay. All right, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear, affirm, or attest that the testimony which you shall give in the matter now on hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
I don't think we got a name and address.
Daniel Radke.
Oh, okay.
Sandell Way. And then you have your.
Yep. You said six copies, correct?
Yep. I didn't know at first that how many people we were gonna have, so but I can go.
I would have brought more. I was told 6 copies. Sorry.
So now what we're going to do is you're going to get a chance to give us an opening statement, then we're going to have possibly questions from the assessor.
Why don't we wait until she's back?
He knows what we're going to do. I'm just going to tell him what this process is.
I think we should wait until we all have the objection form. Haven't even seen it. I don't even know if it's complete. Assessor has not seen it yet either.
All right? So then will you two need some time to look at this before we proceed?
No, but I do need to do a general review just to make sure it's complete. And because normally the objection forms are submitted at the same time as the objection, at least 48 hours in advance, so that everybody has a chance to review it and be ready for the
So just so everyone is aware that I was told that I could bring this information today in person.
You were what?
I was told via email correspondence that I could bring this information
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's acceptable.
okay.
There's a preferred way.
I gotcha, understood.
Witnesses that are going to give evidence.
With me today?
Yeah.
No, I do not.
So I'm just going to make sure you understand how this is going to go while they review.
Sure.
So you'll be given your evidence first, and Board of the assessor or the Board of Review may ask you questions. After you've testified and you have no other witnesses, then the assessor will present his condition, his case for the valuation. You may question him at that time. You may present any other evidence you have after that. Assessor may provide any other evidence. That'll go. We want to make sure you have every opportunity to provide evidence. Then you will summarize your case. The assessor will summarize, and we'll end the testimony. But this is the important thing for you to think of. The Board of Review wants you to understand that under state law, the Board of Review is required to uphold the assessor's valuation of your property as being correct, unless you, by your testimony, can show the assessor's valuation to be incorrect. In other words, the burden of proof is upon you as the taxpayer. Do you understand that?
Yes.
No, I just want to, those, can we go ahead? Yeah, okay. So, sorry, Daniel,
Yep.
if you want to go ahead and make your opening statement here.
Sure.
testimony.
Sure. So I had spoken to the assessor, Sam, a couple weeks after I got the letter, the notice, because I had reached out and, he had mentioned to me, I got to schedule an appointment for an open book. So we scheduled that. It was during my work hours, during my lunch hour, and I was unfortunately working and my phone was off. And I could not take the call. So I missed the open book to be able to go over this. So I guess my argument would be that, the assessment is not based on market value, is not indicative of the condition of my house. My house needs a lot of work. It was built in 1992. It has an original hot water heater that you guys see in a picture that's leaking. It has roof issues. There's a copy of an email from one of my insurance brokers that was trying to get me new insurance because I've got kids that are going to start to drive. And I could not bundle my homeowner's insurance because of my roof, the condition being an original roof. So homeowners insurance policies won't even take me under that condition. Roof is original. It needs to be redone. I've got windows that are original in the house. Half of them are non-functional. A few of them are rotted out to the point to where I can't open them because I just can't open them because I can't get a window right. You can't, it's got to stay closed. So just the overall condition, I've got the deck, cedar deck. It's a nightmare. There's a carpenter ant issue. I've taken some pictures that you can see. It's just rotted out really bad. So my argument is the assessment, right? I mean, you can go ahead and look at market value of homes online and pull comps. This house, square footage, size, this is sold for this, right? We're good. But do we actually know if those windows were 10 years old that were put in that house? How old the roof is? Does it have an original hot water heater? Nobody's going out and looking and kind of doing an in-depth look at those houses. So, in my opinion, the new valuation of my home is not nearly acceptable or worth what the assessed value is. I've got, comparable houses in Caledonia that have sold that are listed here as evidence that are much lower. And I understand, Sam, that the assessor's office can pull comps and show, hey, well, I've got evidence to prove otherwise. Well, how many different homes are out there that you can pull from on a market value that have sold that you could use as comps, and how many maybe are you not going to use as comps because it's a lower value, right? So I guess what I'm just kind of trying to reiterate here is that the condition of my house does not warrant the new assessed value. And I think I have supporting evidence to state, or kind of to prove that that would be the case.
Okay. And the photos are the evidence of that, and this other package is of,
I've got a packet of photos,
Yeah.
which shows the roof. I've
Yeah.
also got a piece of siding that's halfway off that there's bird's nests in.
but this other package,
The other package is comparable houses that have sold in Caledonia and their prices. Recently sold houses.
okay, and what should we take away from this? I mean,
I guess if you look at the houses here that have sold in Caledonia recently, comparable to my house, you'd see that my assessed value is way higher than these houses.
okay,
Taking into consideration all the pictures and all the work that needs to be done to my home to even get it to the market, right? I mean,
okay, well, we'll talk some more
assessments are
about-
based off of market value, correct?
Yes.
Right. So that's kind of where I'm going with. Nobody would come into my house and spend $375,000 with an original roof that needs repair. There's 2 leaks in it with marks on the ceilings, one in my bedroom, one in the loft where the valley is. You can see the caulked valley that I had to have somebody come and caulk it, with the windows, with the deck, hot water heater. It's in my humble opinion, there's no way
Yeah.
the house is worth that.
Okay, I just wanted to, see if there was any summary of this or anything, but this, okay, you just have about 5 or 6 that you think are comparables.
I believe there's a few more than 5 or 6.
However.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
sure.
So, Assessor, have any questions?
I do, thank you. Starting with I'm looking at the listings for the sales that you provided here. What are the time frame of these properties when they sold?
These are, I believe they're within the last 1 or 2 months. And that would be information from my realtor that kindly got me over a bunch of comparable homes with sale prices from Caledonia.
Okay. And so that I'm not mistaken, I just want to clarify, you're saying that these homes are selling for lower than your assessed value, and you take it that these homes are in better condition than your home, so therefore yours is not the same value as what these sales are? Or what information am I to take from the sales here that you're providing?
I guess the information would be square footage, size, that kind of market analysis are based off of, correct? From behind a computer,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Without actually seeing a property's condition and understanding the condition of the property, I can't tell you if XYZ house has a new roof, here, this first one, or their windows, right? But if they do, and this first example is sold for $327,000, my house needs a lot of improvements. There's no way that the market valuation of my new assessment would compare even close to this type of house. So I guess, right. I mean, I agree with what you're saying.
I just wanted to make sure I was on the same thought process that you have
Yep.
there. And then the other packet of information, the email, I think you had kind of touched on it, but this is your insurance. You were trying to bundle your home and auto. If you were to put that together on an insurance policy, it was going to be significantly higher on the monthly payment due to the condition of the property?
Exactly, yeah. And the reference that I have highlighted here, that's SF is for State Farm, who I currently have.
Okay.
And the whole idea was my kids are gonna drive right now. They've got their license and I've got to try to find new insurance because State Farm's pretty expensive. So I got the ball rolling on that and I couldn't find anybody to bundle because no one's gonna insure the home basically with an old roof. in the
Was
condition that I have.
there any documentation that was required for the value of the home for the insurance quote, or?
I don't know. I didn't provide them anything as far as like, maybe they went out the last assessment. I don't know how they do that.
Okay, I
Insurance,
just,
yeah.
I wasn't sure if it had been recently appraised or.
Oh, no,
if
I
there
don't
was-
have any, there's no new appraisals or
Okay,
anything like that.
I wasn't sure what they were basing their insurance estimate on, based
Sure.
on the value of the property, which typically would be market value, but I wasn't sure if there was any documentation that was provided, so.
Right.
And outside of that, all of these are just, the photographs are showing the issues that you have with the home, the deferred maintenance.
Right, there's the deck issues, obviously, and I mean, I could take multiple pictures, but what for? I mean, I figured I had enough of each kind of issue with the house. There's several pictures of the deck, several pictures of the roof, rotted out windows. There's a few of those. There's one picture of one of the windows on the upper story. If you look at the top right, I forget, it's probably your 1, 2, 3, 4th, 5th, like the 6th page in, or if you want to go from the back. I don't know if you guys want to take a look at that one. So the window doesn't look like it's in bad shape, but if you look at the top right of the window going all the way down, you can see that it's not fully kind of inside the casement. And the window does not open because of that. There's just, there's a lot of issues with my house as far as repairs that need to be done, even for that house to be considered, even be put on the market, let alone compared to houses on the market. And then if it's compared to houses on the market, the question would be, well, do these houses that were used have an original roof, have a water heater that's leaking all over the basement, a deck that's deteriorated, a roof that, needs replacement that I can't get insurance covered because of it. So
How
Yeah.
many square feet again is your house?
my square house, I believe, is like 17. Like the last time I had it appraised years ago when I did a refinance, it's 17 something, maybe.
We have it on
17.
record as the above grade square footage is 1,759 square feet.
Okay, I was gonna say 1759. Cool.
And I believe that completes all my questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, as board members, anybody else have a question for this?
You have an attached garage,
I do have an attached garage. Yes.
car?
2-car.
When did you buy this house?
I bought this house 2009. Yeah. Yep. December. I think it was December 8th,
That's close enough.
2009. Yeah. So aesthetically, my house is great. The yard, it's appealing. I get that, but if you looked at the house and if you did a real market analysis, I couldn't even put this house on the market. I mean, no one would walk through it, and there's way too. So I probably got $40,000 of roof, windows, deck to have to put into the house. So
Okay, you'll have opportunities to
okay.
to provide more evidence. But now the assessor will give us his support for the value on your property.
Oh, I have a property card already.
Thank you.
So we'll let the assessor give his case, and then you'll be able to
Sure.
ask questions.
Thank you. What I've just passed out is the two-sided sheet, the property record card containing the assessment information for the subject property located at 5704 Sandell Way. And the second sheet is the comparable sales analysis that was used to establish the assessed value of the home. The subject property located at 5704 Sandell Way is listed as a two-story contemporary home built in 1991 with average kitchen and bath rating, essentially heated and air conditioned. We do show that there is one metal fireplace within the home, is listed as a C+ grade in good condition. The first floor is 1,177 square feet with a total above ground square footage of finished square feet of living area of 1,759 square feet. We're not showing that there's any rec room or finished basement living area within the property, and the basement size is 1,177 square feet. The home contains 6 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, and 1 additional plumbing fixture. Moving to the comparable sales analysis, comparable number 1 is 3207 Short Ridge Drive. This property is a 2-story contemporary built in 1996 with 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, no half baths. It's centrally heated and air conditioned. We do show that it has a metal fireplace. The true total living area is 1,658 square feet. It does have 1,020 square feet of basement area. It is a C+ grade in good condition. Kitchen and bath factor of 1.05. It has a 462 square feet attached garage. That property sold for $390,000 in July of 2024 for approximately $235 per square foot, with an adjusted sales price of $387,900 or $234 per square foot. Comparable number 2 is 2514 Antoinette. This property is a 2-story contemporary built in 1998, containing 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, no half baths. It's centrally heated and air conditioned. It has a total living area of 1,873 square feet. It has basement area of 1,224 square feet, is a C+ grade in good condition, showing that it has an attached garage of 506 square feet, and that property sold for $389,900 in November of 2024, with an approximately $208 per square foot. The adjusted sales price is $379,000 or approximately $202 per square foot. Comparable number 3 is 4619 Kenrick Drive. This property is a 2-story contemporary built in 2002 with 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, no half bath. It's centrally heated and air conditioned. This one does have a rec room area of 340 square feet on the lower level. It shows that we have 1 metal fireplace. The true living area is 1,674 square feet with a basement area of 1,045 square feet. It's a C+ grade in good condition with a 484 square foot attached garage. That property sold for $387,100 in October of 2024, approximately $231 per square foot, with an adjusted sales price of $382,100 or approximately $228 per square foot. Comparable number 4 is 1004 Horner Drive. This is a 2-story contemporary home built in 2018 with 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, 1 half bath. It's centrally heated and air conditioned. We're showing that there's approximately 850 square feet of rec room finish in the lower level. It has 1 wood-burning fireplace. The total living area is 2,043 square feet with a basement area of 1,000 square feet. The B- grade in very good condition, has a 544 square foot attached garage, and that property sold for $500,000 in October of 2024, approximately $244 per square foot, with an adjusted sales price of $377,200, approximately $185 per square foot.
I'd just like to question, it says that there's a metal fireplace.
There's a what, I'm sorry?
A metal fireplace, you referred to it as a wood fireplace?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, it is a metal fireplace. Yes, the wood-burning fireplace and the metal fireplace are right there next to each other, so
Yep.
yes, it is a metal fireplace, which typically is a gas insert. is what we're looking at. Given the comparable sales, the average adjusted sales price for the comparable properties is $212. The subject property is using the market approach and is coming in at approximately $213 per square foot, and that concludes the assessor's exhibits.
Do you have any questions for the assessor?
Yeah. So I noticed when you had gone through your list here, you had referenced all these houses in good condition. What constitutes good condition?
So the first thing that I'd like to point out is that the CDU rating is not just it's not only a condition rating, it's the condition, desirability, and utility. So it is listed as good condition. So part of that is the physical condition of the property itself. So through seeing the photographs that you've provided, I would say it's below average, on the condition rating, but the CDU also takes into consideration the location and the desirability, such as the neighborhood or the subdivision that it may be in. So even though it's at a good rating, it may be as an average condition, but it does take into consideration the physical condition as well as the aesthetics.
Okay, so you mentioned condition having to do with location,
Yes.
right? So
If it's
a condition of a house, if we all know the definition of condition, that has nothing to do with the location.
Well,
I mean,
that's for the condition, but the CDU rating is condition, desirability, and utility. So it's 3 factors in one. So it takes into consideration the physical condition of the property, but it also takes into consideration the location and desirability of that property.
and how are those conditions met?
So
How do they come up with those conditions if they don't go out and look at the actual condition of a house?
So we do take in, part of that is the physical condition of the property. The other is if it's a desirable neighborhood, or if so you could have a below average condition, but still be listed as an average or a good CDU rating, depending on the desirability and the utility of the neighborhood itself. So the CDU rating is not just driven by the actual physical condition of the property itself.
But again, how is that physical condition determined? You're giving me an explanation of
It would be
what that is,
either-
but has anybody come out to these houses, the comparables that you showed for, I guess comparables for my houses, but how is that condition determined?
So through that,
If nobody comes out and looks at the condition of all these houses to see if they've got a newer roof, newer windows, if their hot water heater's updated, if their deck's deteriorating, if they've got pulled off siding and bird's nests in their carpenter ant infestation in their deck, am I right to say that there's no way to tell without going out to a house to see the actual condition of the house?
we would have to do an inspection of the property to get an overall picture of the condition. Typically, we would do an exterior inspection of the properties. We also do inspections on the homes that sold. But if the property is not sold or if it hasn't had any permit work, then it would be at the condition rating it had been previously, unless we do an exterior or interior inspection of the home.
Okay, so then in this situation, I feel like that, to get an accurate market analysis on my home, those conditions should have been noted, or I mean, you can't just, you shouldn't just be able to go on and I understand the process. You can't pay for someone to look through every house, right? Which is why we have these processes and these steps. But in all fairness, I think all of you guys here, if you look at these pictures, in the back of your mind, you're saying, yeah, this house needs a lot of work. And, so I just question, the conditions and how they're coming up with them. It's an assumed condition because no one's physically going and looking. When did the comparables that you gave me here, do you have a date of any point in time that anybody came out and looked at the conditions of those houses physically? Because you have to know the condition of a house to be able to kind of give a condition of a house.
So all sales are not field inspected. We do field inspect whenever there's a discrepancy in the information that we have. We look at online photos from the sales listings. And if we feel that the property needs to be inspected at that point in time, we will take a look if there looks like there's a discrepancy with condition, size, or grade, things of that nature. So not 100% of the sales are field inspected, but we do take a look at the ones that we feel we need to.
So in your opinion, the condition of these houses listed, really doesn't compare to mine, or is it safe to say that you don't know the condition of the houses here that are listed as good condition compared to mine?
I don't have a list of the sales that were field inspected at this point in time, so whether these were looked at, I cannot testify to that at this point.
Okay, so then that kind of proves the condition of these listings kind of is invalid in my opinion. If the conditions aren't really known, how can you say a condition is good? And that's kind of my argument here with evidence and all the pictures that I've showed you and the house being built in like 91 or 92. All these things are original. There's no way that the market value is correct when the assessment of my house compared to all these other houses. Now if you were to tell me that, XYZ house needed a new roof, needed a hot water heater, had rotted out windows, the deck is in shambles, and showed me sale prices that were really high, then I could say, yeah, that makes sense with the analysis of my house. But I don't think that's the case. And a lot of these homes here that I showed you sold for a lot less. And I would imagine when you do a market analysis, you can pull a lot of other houses that are comparable that sold a lot lower than these houses here, right? Is that safe to say?
We can, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
In past cases, this might help. I think the previous assessor would sometimes say like a roof. That's just a maintenance item, and that really doesn't impact the value of the property. A hot water, that's something that needs to be replaced occasionally. And
But-
those things, if I'm remembering right, they don't really have much impact on the estimate or the price.
Those are things that can take a direct impact on the sale price when a property is purchased. Those are listed as long-term, long life items, and it is not deferred maintenance, but typically whenever we would have a roofing permit, if someone were to put a new roof on their home, it may affect their market value, but we would not adjust the assessment simply because the roof or the water heater had been replaced. Those are long-term items. But that would be, they can have an impact on the market value overall.
Okay.
Yeah, if I can just kind of add on to that, the assessment, the market value, the assessment is based on a market value of a home. A market value of a home is when that home sells. The comparables you showed me are homes that sold. So if you have a roof that needs replacement, that's leaking, if you have windows that are rotted out, if you have a deck that's deteriorated, if you have a number of things, your house can't even go to market. And if it did go to market, you're going to sell it for a lot less than the comparables. So it is a direct relation. I mean, that's why we're all here, based off of a market analysis for a house, because a house sold. These houses here, comparables, sold. So, it's a roof is the skin of a house. If you don't take care of your roof, you're going to have all kinds of issues, right? I can't get covered by my homeowner's insurance policy or a handful of policies because my roof is original. No one's going to take me. So I guess what I'm saying is, I understand your comparables. I'm not saying that your comparables aren't correct, but if a condition is listed in here, that condition has to be derived from somewhere. And there's no way that the condition of my house can be considered in the same condition as probably some of these other houses that have sold. And if you look at the comparables I brought in for houses that sold, they're selling for a lot less than my assessed value.
Okay, does any board members have questions for the assessor? Okay. And there was no witnesses for your case. So I think we're ready for you to make a summary of what you presented to us today as evidence that the value is incorrect.
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, in conclusion with kind of the things that I brought to your guys' attention, first off with the evaluations of the other houses, Sam had mentioned that there are comparable houses that would be on the lower end that he could have used to determine my assessed value. There's a report on each one of these that calls out a house that is that's in good conditions, mine being one of them. That is really irrelevant in the fact that if you don't actually have the current home's conditions that are on here. It's just, you're just taking something that's shown as it's in good condition. You know, the condition has to be realistic. It's not realistic. The condition of my home is not realistic, I'm sure, to these comparable homes. I don't have pictures. These comparable homes here that were compared in my assessment, they don't have details on if there's an original roof, original windows, if there's rotting of the windows. None of that stuff is given. And I would assume when there's assessments, those types of homes aren't going to be pulled for assessment reasons, right? Because obviously the idea is for a house to be valuated at its highest it can be, because there's taxes and everything else that's due, right, for communities. In this situation, it's just my home is just not there in good condition. I would think that with the pictures I've shown you guys of the original roof with issues, the siding, the carpenter, and issues with the deck, the windows being rotted out, the hot water heater, there's just an immense amount of money that I have to put into this house, even to make this house marketable. Marketability, market value is based on houses selling, right? And assessments are based off of that. And with the evidence I've provided, I can't see how anybody would say that, yes, my house is worth what these other houses are in the comparison evaluation. That was determined, that had a hand in determining my assessed value.
Okay, Assessor, do you have a summary?
We've provided the 4 comparable properties that were used through the market approach for the subject property, and given the information and the assessment data as we had it, the market value is our best estimate of what the property is currently worth. The information provided today would have been beneficial through the open book process, where we have more leniency towards making adjustments or coming out to take a look at the property. But based on the information that we have, we feel it's a fair and equitable assessment.
So can I just interject?
Sure.
So you mentioned that right now, because we're in this place right now, at the board here, discussing this, you had mentioned that right now you feel that you're right, that everything you had mentioned is correct and would go through. But then you also said, had I, reached out, which I did, and I missed a call, this would have been a great case for the board of review or for the open book. Things shouldn't change. The condition of my house, the fact that you'd mentioned you're standing behind your report, I get that you're going to. You have evidence here, right? But just because I missed an open book should not, and you said it yourself, this would have been a great case for an open book, to look through the house based on the evidence that I had. That shouldn't determine whether or not this assessment stays at 375. I mean,
Perhaps the
it's
village attorney could explain a little bit about the legalities of open book versus board of review and the
well, I don't.
I just wanted
Oh.
to clarify for you.
I understand.
Yes, you're-
I think I understand. It's my point is that if there's an acknowledgement that this would have been great for the board of review or the open book consideration, then in your mind, I think I stated a good case for the issue of the assessment on my house not being as high as it is based on the
And
evidence
there's
that I.
legal requirements that they have to adhere to. That's why I'd like the village attorney to explain that procedure.
Well, I think as the assessors testified, he's talking about the value as of today, given the evidence before him. Whether or not something would have changed at board of review is not something that you should be considering in your deliberations today. A lot of times adjustments are made, sometimes they're not. It has no bearing on what you do today. So you should just focus on what was presented before you today, and what the taxpayer testified to and what the assessor brought to the table, and base it on that, not on what may or may not have happened at board of review, the open
you mean.
book.
Okay. So this, we've heard summaries, and we are now ready to close the testimony on this case. And so I will close, we'll stop taking testimony, and we will now go into deliberation on the testimony that was given to us. So, board members, discussion, comments? I mean, I see this as a sad case where the board of, we're being put in an awkward position because there's clearly some pictures showing us that there's condition of the house. But I'm not an assessor. None of us are assessors. And I don't know how to fit that into what the assessment is at. And you know, we don't know about what's a C+ grade and what's the CD. But I clearly feel that without having that opportunity at open book, that we've not seen something that clearly shows us that the assessor got it wrong. I think the assessor's comparables are actually some of the best I've ever seen, where we've got 4 properties that are very similar, recent sales, and I think that supports the number that he's given us. But please comment what your thoughts are.
Based upon the information from the assessor and based upon your information on your comparables, you're kind of in the middle of the road, which to me maintains that the appraisal of the assessor is right in the ballpark. I know you have some issues with your property, but that's just issues with your property. We're talking about the sticks of the building, talking about the property, everything involved, and I think as it is presented by both of you, I think your comparable is right in the ballpark.
Anything else? Okay. So then we come to this decision making. So unless there's any objection, we're going to move on, and I'll be looking for a motion to either accept the assessor's valuation or to say that the assessor's valuation is incorrect.
I'll do a motion to say the assessor's evaluation is correct.
I'll make a second to the motion.
Okay, is there any discussion on this? There is no discussion. We will go to a roll call vote.
Becky Gerard,
Yes.
Richard Milky,
Yes.
Eugene Pagel,
Yes.
Kimberly Hoover,
No.
Dale Spillman.
Yes.
Okay, the motion has passed. And we accept the assessor's valuation as being correct. We don't need, there's nothing else.
Nope, I will get you a printed assessment if you want to just hold on for a moment. Or a printed determination.
So, can I ask a couple questions here?
Sure, I mean, we're out. Decision has been made.
No, it's not about the decision. It's about going forward. So, next year, there's going to be assessment that's coming out, right?
Every year.
Every year now.
And the board,
Okay.
and the open book is every year.
Right. Okay, so that being said, have you guys ever seen in situations, or maybe Sam during the open book, where an assessment like mine, because this is considerably different, I'm sure, than a lot of other things that you guys have seen with the evidence I've provided, where, you know, my assessment now is at 374 or 37, whatever it may be for the year, that where next year it could drop drastically. And I know the market's to play, but say the market doesn't change and my house is in the same condition because I can't afford to get it fixed. I mean, you know, it's, I guess what I'm trying to say, is there ever a situation where you guys see in an open book where a case like this is brought to you guys' attention and yeah, it's relooked at the next year and determined that, yeah, this is really off and we're going to bring your house down for you.
So I've made a few notes to take a look at the condition rating for 2026, but whenever we reach the board of review, it's not a negotiation. I'm working with the information that I have, and I cannot impeach my assessment. So there will be a decision made on whether or not the value will change next year based on the condition of the property.
Okay, then my next question I have for you is how do you guys, had an appraisal been done on my house, how do you guys take that into consideration? Like if I get one done before the open book?
If you have an appraisal, that is acceptable information for the board of review. So the information that you have, what they're looking for is for comparable sales within the time frame. They're looking for adjustments to be made to those sales to arrive at the value, subject property or your home's value. If you have an appraisal, that's exactly what they're looking for. So you can have an appraisal, you can bring that to open book, you can bring it to the board of review. It would have been put together information better than the information that you had provided. You gave us comparables, you showed us the condition of the property, but at the board of review level, I cannot negotiate, I cannot make changes. I have to support the assessment as it is.
But that is good information, good evidence to provide to the Board of Review. Is
Well, I mean, hopefully I have some things done by next year.
Yeah.
So I won't be having
It
the
just
same
has to be,
pictures, but
it has to be an independent, assessment. You can't be like sometimes, we've seen some that are questionable because it's not taking an independent, it's
Well,
trying to get you the best price. for
no.
your
If I
house.
did an appraisal, it's because I'm refinancing,
Yeah.
taking care of things, taking care of my roof, my windows and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm looking to do here. But so would the appraisal have helped me today or no?
It depends on the appraisal, because there can be some shoddy appraisals that the appraisal itself would not guarantee a result of the board of review. It would be critiqued by myself. It would be looked at by the board of review as well. So it's not a slam dunk necessarily, but it would have been beneficial if you had an open market
Sure.
market valuation appraisal done on the property.
Okay, and then with appraisals, with on that same note here, there's obviously different appraisals for if you're trying to get a loan for a house to buy a house comes in, it's kind of a game, right? Where oh yeah, we'll put it up, we'll appraise it where it needs to be. Maybe not in this market as much, but so do you guys look at appraisals for refinance different someone that's staying in their house as opposed to an appraisal for somebody that's selling their house?
Overall, I
Is
look
there-
at the appraisal and the adjustments made and if they seem appropriate. So if there's excessive adjustments, if you have a ranch home and if they're looking at two-story homes or if there's considerable differences and massive adjustments, that's what I base mine on more than the use of the appraisal itself.
But the board will look for that it's a neutral, it's not a bias, trying to do you a favor to make it higher or lower.
Yeah, no, that's not.
So it's.
That's a judge of character, and I understand why you're saying that, but that's not the type of person I am.
Oh, no,
I
no,
wouldn't,
I'm not-
I wouldn't search out hey, no. So, but no, I know what you're saying, and I understand why the reasons you would have
And
to
that
say
is
that
good
it'd have to be.
evidence. Yes.
So, okay, well, I appreciate your time. I wish I would have taken that call. And I think you had mentioned, I think you even called me back saying you could still do it after that point in time. I think they're,
Yeah, but
You're gonna
the
try to
open
help me
books,
out, but-
we could do those through telephone appointments, or we can do that. They don't have to be on site. And also, you can feel free to forward any pictures or comparable sales or any information that you want to us through the open book process or even through the course of the year. Just, give us the parcel number, the address, and say, here's something to take into consideration on the property. We'll accept the information as we can get that. So, yes.
Sure. So then one more quick question before I leave, and I'm sorry if I'm taking up all your guys' time. So the comparables that you give, so next year during open book, whether it's gonna be in the fall, right? What comparables or what are you guys using? Cause I know you mentioned 2024.
Mhm.
So
So-
if I were to get an appraisal done, cause I'm looking to refinance right now, that appraisal would count for the review for next year, correct?
The best case scenario for you would be to have a market value appraisal as of January 1, 2026. If it's before or after that date, they can still be looked at, but for the assessment date is January 1 of any given year. And through the annual market updates that we do, we analyze the previous 2 years worth of sales. So for this time frame, we were looking at 2023 and 2024 sales. Next year's annual market update, we'll look at 24 and 25 sales. So
Okay.
just as long as they're recent sales And if you're having an appraisal done for the assessment, you would want it to be done on January 1, but it doesn't have to be necessarily. So if you're getting it
Right.
just for the Board of Review, January 1 is the date that you want. If you're looking to refinance, or if you're looking at purchasing a property, or just to even find out what your property is worth, the appraisal is good information, but it's
Okay.
not guaranteed. Again, we would have to review that and question it to see if, if we believe it's a solid, good, standard
Right.
appraisal.
Well, the reason I ask, I'm in the middle of a refinance right
Mhm.
now, so,
Yeah,
and they're
you
gonna be
can-
ordering an appraisal, and I'm probably gonna close here by the end of this month.
Sure.
Maybe,
Yeah, well,
within a
just-
month.
I just wanted to point out that just because you have an appraisal doesn't mean that it's necessarily, it will be accepted. There are some differences. I've seen refinance appraisals where they're comparing, ranch homes to two-story homes. Two-story homes typically sell at a lower price per square foot than a ranch home because it's
Sure.
cheaper to build vertically than it is horizontally.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that we would take a look at, is the style, the sales, and then also the sales information. Some of the information that you had provided today were properties that had sold, but there's no information that says that it was an open market transaction. This is just, it was listed and it sold. We wouldn't use family to family transfers, things of that nature. And those are all things that we would critique through the appraisal that we have. But it is good information for the open book and or the Board of Review.
Okay, so that being said, when I get this appraisal back, is it something that I could send off to you and say, hey, would this be an appraisal that I could use next year during open book? Would you be able to reply, yeah, that would be an adequate appraisal?
You could send it to us and we would review it and
Okay.
let you know our feelings on that. Now, just because we don't feel it would be appropriate, you could still bring it to Board of Review, but we would give it an honest,
Well, yeah, no,
review.
I would want your opinion.
Sure,
I mean, I'm
yeah.
not gonna,
Yes.
so, instead of paying for another one, right? You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. All right,
Thank you.
appreciate your time.
So are there any other cases today?
There are no other cases. Before us, we did not receive any waivers, waiver requests.
Okay. Is there any other discussion on the board? Otherwise, I'm open to a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Gotta do that.
I'll second
You
it.
don't need a motion to adjourn, but you can if you want.
Okay,
Okay, done.
all in favor, aye.
Aye.